I'm going to read a bit about Russian-Swedish relations. It's not about submarines. The Russian woman was our neighbor from hell. For the first 7 months we lived in the block, her apartment was empty. But then one night, at 1:30, we were awakened by a racket in the corridor. It was her front door being slammed shut. And straight afterwards, music was played so loud we could not hear each other speak. Euro disco, with a bass and a bass drum that made the floor vibrate and the window panes rattle. It was as though we had our stereo on at full blast. Linda, who was 8 months pregnant, had problems sleeping anyway. But even I, who was usually able to remain comatose through any sort of noise, could forget all about sleeping. Between the songs, we heard her shouting and yelling beneath us. We got up and went into the living room. Should we ring the hotline that had been set up for a situation like this? I didn't want to. That was too Swedish for me. Shouldn't we just go downstairs and ring the bell and complain? Fine, but then I would have to do it. And I did. I rang, and when that didn't help, I knocked, but no one came. Another half an hour in the living room. Perhaps it would stop of its own accord. But in the end, Linda was so furious that she went down herself, and then all of a sudden the woman opened the door and was full of understanding. She stepped forward and laid a hand on Linda's stomach. And there's you're expecting a baby, she said in a Russian sounding Swedish. I'm so sorry, apologize, but my husband has left me and I don't know what to do. Do you understand? Music and a bit of wine, it helps me in cold, cold Sweden. But you're going to have a baby and you need your sleep, don't you, my dear? Happy to have made progress, Linda came back up and told me what was said before we went into the bedroom and got into bed. 10 minutes later, just after I had fallen asleep, the infernal racket started again. The same music at the same crazy volume, with the same hollering between the songs. We got up and went into the living room. It was getting on for 3:30. What should we do? Linda wanted to ring the hotline, but I didn't. Because even if in principle this was supposed to be anonymous, in the sense that the house disturbance patrol was not allowed to say who had rung to complain, it was obvious the Russian woman would know, and with her, as unstable as she evidently was, it would be asking for trouble later. So Linda suggested we should wait until it was all over, this once, and then write a friendly letter the day after, in which it would emerge that we were understanding and tolerant, but this kind of volume late at night was in fact unacceptable. Linda lay down on the sofa, breathing heavily with a huge belly in the air. I went to bed, and 1 hour later, at almost 5 o'clock, the music finally stopped. The next day, Linda wrote a letter, popped it through her letterbox before going on to the morning. And everything was quiet until about 6 in the evening, when there was a terrible hammering and banging on our door. I went to open. It was a Russian woman. Her gritted, alcohol-ravaged face was white with fury. In her hand, she was clasping Linda's letter. "What the hell is this?" she shouted. "How dare you, in my own home? You're not bloody telling me what to do in my own home." "It's a friendly letter," I said. "I don't want to speak to you," she said. "I want to speak to the person in charge here." "What do you mean?" "You're not a man in your own home. You're chased out when you want to smoke. You stand in the yard. You're a laughingstock. Do you think I haven't seen you? It's her I want to talk to." She took a few steps forward and tried to pass me. She stank of alcohol. My heart was pounding. Fury was the one emotion I was really afraid of. I never managed to ward off the feeling of weakness that flooded through my body in these circumstances. My legs went weak, my arms went weak, and my voice trembled. But she didn't need to notice. "You'll have to speak to me," I said, advancing towards her. "No," she said. "She's the one who wrote this letter. It's her I want to talk to." "Listen," I said, "we were playing unbelievably loud music late last night. It was impossible for us to sleep. You can't do that, and you got to understand." "Don't you tell me what to do." "Well, it's not me," I said. "We got something called house rules. Everyone who lives in this place has to abide by them. Do you know how much rent I pay? She said. 15,000 kroner. And I've lived here for 8 years. No one's ever complained before. Then you came along, you snobby little snobs. Actually, I'm pregnant. And she said the latter, she mimicked a snob, pursed her lips and stuck her nose in the air. Her hair was unkempt, her skin pale, cheeks plump, eyes staring. She regarded me with that fair gaze of hers. I looked down. She turned and went downstairs. I closed the door and turned to face Linda, who was leaning against the hall wall. Well, that was a clever move, I said. You mean letter, she asked. Yes, I said. No, we're really in for it. You mean it's my fault? It's her, not me, who's gone completely off her rocker. There's nothing to do with me.